Hi, Medyhne.
Hi.
It's a privilege and an honour to be able to interview you today and to get into your heart and soul and into your work more and to understand what you do. Because it was an honour when you interviewed me, and I said to you, I'd love to interview you. So it's actually a privilege to be able to do that. So I just like to start by you explaining to the audience and to me more around what you're doing with your work so that we can go deeper into it and how you, a bit about your journey and how you came to this place. And we'll go into what you're doing in the future too, which you can get to. But you're doing some amazing transformational work and empowering work with your clients, I know, and with your music and everything. But please share more with me about that, and so our listeners can hear about that as well. That'd be great.
Oh, thank you, Jane. It's really wonderful to be with you again. We have such a beautiful connection and synergy, and it's wonderful to chat with you. So it doesn't feel like an interview; it just feels like a nice little casual chat. So that's
Yeah.
wonderful. Yeah. Um, and I'm usually the other way around. I'm the one doing. So this is a little bit different for me. So, um, I guess what you could say is I've come into the world knowing that I was here to contribute in some way that I hoped would be significant. And I think so many of us come into this life and we feel that same energy of wanting to contribute in some way that resonates for us, that can make a difference, in the planet. So I always was aware of that. And I always hoped that it would be profound. And I often asked and said, oh, can I please help in a big way? I don't want to just, sit in the corner and do nothing while I'm here. I really like to contribute. And so I guess the other point is that, I'm really dedicated to my own soul evolution, because I think that's one of the key reasons why we're here, is to evolve ourselves in our own evolution. And I think at the moment,
100%.
yeah, totally.
Yes.
And there's never been a more important time than now with this earthly transition that we're going through. It's absolutely crucial that as many of us as possible raise our frequency and raise our evolution, so that not only can we go forward in the ascension process, but that we can help collectively raise the consciousness and the frequency of everyone else. Because the more people that are able to do that, the more we can raise everyone else. So it's really become very clear in the last year, since all this has unfolded with the with everything in the world and the I have to talk in code. Well, we all know what's unfolded in last year anyway. So with everything that's happened with that, it's become really clear to me that the whole lifetime was building up to this moment. In retrospect, that's what's been happening. So I've been working both to help raise the frequency of humanity, and also work through my own challenges so that I can heal any wounding that I've had within myself, and then I can evolve as a soul to the highest potential that I can get to. So I started out at when I left school, I traveled around the world and had some interesting jobs. I had a job as a nanny to a poodle in France, just
Oh,
outside of
wow.
Paris.
Okay.
But that was a bit
I did
different.
that when I was younger too.
And it was a very stuck up poodle, I can tell you that much. They used to feed it steaks and everything. It certainly had a lot of attitude. And then I traveled around as many countries as I could, and I worked briefly on a ship in the south of Israel. I went around Egypt.
Wow.
Yes,
Great.
went round,
Fantastic.
it was lovely. Went around Egypt. Egypt had a real resonance, which I later realized was my Egyptian connection from past lives. And then once I'd done that traveling, I came back and I had a family, and I also I went to uni first, and then I had a family after that. So at uni, I did a BA and a postgraduate diploma in psychology, sociology, with some business subjects, always interested in people and understanding people, and I guess understanding myself as well. So that was a natural evolution, because then I went to I had a family, and then I went to meditation classes, and I started really exploring my spiritual aspect and my holistic alternative type modalities that were an extension really of the psychology and sociology I did at uni, but it was far more, I found, comprehensive and far more empowering and powerful than the university work, because that was more cerebral and this was holistic. It was everything. And did a lot of work on myself to get my qualifications in different things like Pleiadian light work, full sensory perception healing. I got a qualification as a minister of healing, a US minister of healing, and then became a Reiki master. That was often, I think, Reiki is a step to other things, so I sort of started out.
Yes.
And then I did all these other alternative modalities in light work and all sorts of things, and so put a lot of time and effort into doing very intensive work on myself, on my soul. And it really, I guess, hasn't stopped from that point, which was about 28 years ago. And then I also did things like I've been, very creative. And so I wrote and recorded music with my partner, and also prior to him, I did that anyway. And then we had like a song in a US movie, and we got an international publishing deal. And
that's amazing. Yes, well done. Well done.
Thank you. Love singing, and I love writing music. It's something I absolutely love, but I put it aside for the time being because I've got so many other things I'm working with. But and also I love painting. So I've also been doing quite a bit of painting the last few years. And I've also, since all this happened, in the last year's period of time, I got a very strong calling to, it's an interesting story. I wrote a list of the people that I felt were making a big difference around this Australia and this whole region. And then I managed to connect with another lady, amazingly, who had the same sort of list, and she was about to do the same thing. So we joined forces, and we connected and unified with a lot of incredible people. And this has morphed from one format or sort of energy into another one, which is about now restoration. That was more about raising consciousness awareness of what's happening around Australia, New Zealand, and around this and around the planet. And then it's morphed into a restoration council, which is basically setting up a new framework for a foundation for this whole region, because we feel that the what we call the government, which is, of course, we know the words government mean mind control, this whole system is teetering on the brink of a cliff. Really, it's about to collapse. And so when that does happen, there's other foundations in place for society to go forward. And we have some absolutely what's the word, outstanding people that such as yourself, actually, because your expertise in relationships and sexuality is second to none. So people like yourself that are experts in their fields, that are able to provide leadership and expertise for people to be able to have new templates or new blueprints to go forward in a much more ascended, progressive way on the planet, rather than the old paradigms which are no longer relevant. I mean, you just look at children these days that go to school. So many of them know that it's not in alignment with their energy, and that it's redundant. And new systems of community leadership which are representative of the collective and that are not based on power, control. New educational systems that tap into our supersensory abilities, that really allow us to be everything that we were meant to be. And of course, part of that process to get there is a restoration from the corruption that we've all experienced. So, it's an initiative that is very, very empowering for the collective, and, welcome people to contact me if they want to know more. And also there's a platform for the Voice of the People Truth Media, where people can provide stories where they are a true reflection of what's happening in our part of the world here, rather than a narrative that is based on a globalist agenda.
Yeah. Oh, wow. It's a huge project, and it's an extremely important one, and it's a very empowering one. The network you're talking about, is that the United Network?
Yes, United Network News for the Oceania region. Yes. And if people want to find out more, please contact me about that too. But we really need to have a true voice for what we're experiencing, and we don't see that obviously in the mainstream media now. And so we need to build those platforms very strongly, and so that we can move forward and we can unite. I mean, the things that we really need to do now are to unite and to organize, because there's a very strong battle between the dark and the light in play at the moment, and we need to be organized because they're organized on their end. So we have to get organized on our end, and we have to unify. And there's so many more of us. But if we don't unify, it's very hard to concentrate that energy so that it can, rise above what's happening on the other side. And I think that's where we have been able to be outplayed in the past, is through a lack of organisation. When you look at what's happened there have been many times throughout history where there's been this same battle between the light and the dark, and the dark has been successful in the past. But this time we don't want that to happen. We want to make sure that the light is embodied now on the earth, and that we can go forward, and so the dark will basically be transmuted here for all time, and not only here, but the resonance of what happens here goes out to the cosmos and impacts all the infinite universe, all the cosmoses, because we're a very important part of the whole here, and what's happening here has never actually been done before in this way. So it has the most profound isn't even the word, it has the most incredible ramifications that we get this right. And so it's not something that we can just sit on the fence, or that we can sit back and say, oh, someone else will do it, or we'll wait for T or the 17th letter of the alphabet to do it for us. We'll just sit back and wait for them, because that may well be something that is made and put together to make us wait. I'm not saying categorically that is the case, but it could be, because in the Bolshevik Revolution, that's what happened. They said, trust the plan, then. And then that was how they overcame that resistance, through that way of gathering people together, recognizing who they were, and then bringing them down. So I'm not saying that is necessarily the case here, but it could well be. So to be just sitting and waiting for someone else to do it is not really, I believe, a option at the moment.
How are you seeing the energies at the moment in the world? Well, there's so much we can talk about this, as we know, it's so many tangents.
Yes.
How are you seeing the energies at the moment?
Sure. Well, March and April have been incredibly intense, I've found. Have you found that, Jane?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
I'm feeling it in me.
Yes, exactly, exactly. And you know what? I'm finding that there is, for example, at the moment, a very strong energy where people, some people, they're just sort of getting a little bit tired of it all, and they're feeling overwhelmed, and they're tired. And on some level, they're saying to themselves, "I'm over this. I'm sort of ready to perhaps, just move on, or whatever." But I'm saying to people, if you're feeling that way, there's ways you can clear that energy, because we all feel overwhelmed at times with everything that's happening. I mean, you've just got to read. I mean, we want to be aware, so we want to know what's going on, and some of the things that you are aware of and that you read are extremely disconcerting and troubling. So we have to, I think it's helpful to be aware of what's going on, but to know how to have boundaries and how to transmute that energy so that we can stay in a high frequency. And for example, a really great technique is, if people are feeling overwhelmed with everything that's happening, they're thinking, "Oh my God, I'm just over this, so I can't, continue," or whatever. You can visualize a belief system written on a piece of paper with your name, cancel it, tear it up, and burn it in a rainbow flame, and just keep doing that till it has no charge, till it neutralizes that. And
Oh, I like that one. I like that one.
good,
That's
isn't it?
good. Yes.
And even writing it on a piece of paper, and then
Yes,
blessing.
because it gets it out. Yes.
Exactly. Blessing it with love and light and burning it, or drawing a picture of the emotional charge that you're feeling. So you're feeling really awful, going to the emotional core of that and drawing it, and then blessing it and burning it and releasing it, letting it go. There's lots of things that you can do to release that energy so that you can feel peaceful and comfortable to be in the world again. And I've done that a few times. Oh, my nose is itchy. I've done that. I've done that a few times, and I've been able to transmute that energy really well. And I also have a wonderful network around me, and I encourage everyone to have that as well, where you have friends, for example, that can support you when you're down, and that maybe even can send you some beautiful energy and some loving energy and support you energetically in that way, or people to chat to. It's really important to build strong support networks at this time. So that energy, I was just talking to you about how I was helping a couple that were having really bad difficulty with their marriage and were considering breakup and had young children. And so I was working with them the last few days, and I think that some of the frustration is, not only theirs, but of course it's a global collective frustration that we're picking up. And then of course you add on that financial difficulties, because as we know, the oppressors, the controllers, are wanting to crush all small businesses so that there's like a centralized form of control, and we're all dependent on the government or whatever. So they had a small business and they were feeling that. So financially, when you've got those pressures as well, there's a lot of different things that are people are feeling as challenges more intensively than ever before. And I feel like there's a lot of people just feeling like they're waiting for something to shift, and it's really ideal if we can to get to a point of non-attachment with that. So you're sort of neutral in your energy, that you're not waiting desperately for something to change or shift, or the piece of news that's going to change everything, but to try to get to a point of high frequency and non-attachment, where you're not reliant on a shift that's going to come now, because it may be a little while. It may be, quite a while. I don't feel it'll be too long, but I think it could be quite a while before everything obviously shifts into the utopian society that we want. Some people say it'll be 30 years before it fully gets there. I think we'll see some great shifts before then. But what's your feeling in terms of, do you feel that there will be a change coming soon, Jane? Or are you feeling that it might take a little bit longer than what people anticipate?
I would really love for it to shift very quickly, obviously, like everybody.
Yes.
And some people who are putting out videos on all these topics are saying it is going to change very quickly. But I'm a bit like you. I think the structures have to change, and there's so much that has to be put in place to replace it. So even if things flip, we need new systems to come into play. So I think it is going to take a lot longer. And I also think we're going to have to go through more pain for more people to wake up, unfortunately. Or there's going to be, there's still a lot of people that think it's all going to disappear and we're going to go back to normal. Unfortunately, as you and I know in our own lives, sometimes it takes pain for us to awaken and to transform. And so I do think it's going to take longer. I do. And I think there's a lot of anger that's arising is the collective consciousness, because people are in a lot of pain because they're financially, and it's putting pressure on relationships, and there's multiple things going on. And as you say, for me, what I've been doing is, okay, so, I'm feeling anger within me. So what is this residual anger within me from my past?
And what I also think with that anger is that underneath anger, often anger is not of itself a bad emotion to have, because often it means we've been treated unjustly. So that anger is the motivation for us to shift and change the world that we're in. But we need to use that anger constructively, so we're not taking it out on people that we love.
Absolutely.
We're taking it out on in a productive way that's going to shift what we don't like about the way we're living at the moment, and the earth that we live in. So if people can just, channel that anger in constructive ways into energy that they can use to shift the corruption and the tyranny that we all see happening. And there's, I think, a natural anger too that comes from the forces that are working on us on so many levels, all the mind control programming and everything else that happens, that is creating incredible division. And that division is there for a purpose, because we can't be controlled if we are all united. And that division has to be in play for them to be able to successfully move forward with their plans of total global, communist type control over the masses and enslavement, basically. So I think that is really important to keep in mind, that when we are, even in the Telegram groups, I'm looking at where there are people, they're on the same page, they've got the same goals, which is to stand up to what's happening and change it. Even within them, people are fighting amongst themselves, and it's so counterproductive. There's no need for that, because that energy that you're putting into that is going to be just enabling them to succeed, to be more successful, the dark ones to be more successful. So I think people need to be mindful of, whenever you put out some sort of energy, to make it constructive and kind. And if you're working against the oppressors, it's fine to direct that strong energy in that way, but not for the people where we're all trying to work together and unified to change what we see happening.
Yeah, yes, because if we look at Nelson Mandela and Gandhi and Martin Luther King, all those people, you know, they made such an extreme difference in the world because of the injustice that they felt personally. But they directed into making a difference in the world rather than being a victim and not doing anything. So
Yeah.
that's what we
Yes.
all need to do. And as you say, and you know, you look at Gandhi where he did that non-violent, the movie of him. I mean,
Yeah.
the question mark is, we wonder now how true all of that is, but
Well,
questioning everything. But it was like non-violent resistance. You know, he had people that some of them were killed by just standing there doing nothing, but they were able to get the English out of India.
I know, so powerful. He's always been a wonderful light for me, Gandhi. And in fact, I've had a few sort of interesting synchronistic things where he's been in my field, so to speak. So my mum's original fiance did a PhD on Gandhi, so he did a lot of focus on Gandhi, and then so that was interesting. And then my one of my best friends, her and her husband, who's a dear best friend as well, his grandfather was a dear friend of Gandhi's, and he actually has a letter written from Gandhi to him, you know, mentioning their friendship and everything. So it's a bit of a long story, but I mean, that's wonderful to know that that's somehow in the field, you know, on that personal level, which is really lovely.
So yeah, that's amazing. That's fantastic. But and the thing is, people say the common thing I hear, well, you know, when I share things with people, it's like, I just relax, Jane, you know, just enjoy life, you know, just enjoy life. You won't be able to make a difference anyway. One person can't make a difference. And that's when I say, well, Gandhi made a difference. He was one person. You know, there's lots of people who, it takes one person. We can all make a difference. And as you say, when we join together, we can make a bigger difference.
Oh gosh, you know, as soon as you say that out, I'm thinking, it does trigger things to me, which is means I'm not neutral. But one person can make the most incredible difference. You know, just holding a higher frequency for a start is one way. If you're holding a high frequency, and you know, it is so easy to drop your frequency at the moment with everything going on. So to be able to master the skill of holding a high frequency, being centered in the eye of the storm, in the midst of everything happening, that itself is going to impact a lot of people. You know, if one person holds the frequency of love, it impacts thousands and thousands of people, a consistent frequency of love. You know, so don't underestimate the importance of that. And one person, you know, creatively expressing themselves in a painting or singing or dancing and holding a high frequency there, the field around you will all feel that, and that field may go for quite a long distance around you. So that's one way. And then you've got someone who is actively, you know, for example, being a digital soldier. You know, that's another way that you can make a difference. You can, you know, get together with friends in a group and say, what do we most need to work on? I mean, if we all wanted to pick things, we probably have about 100 things each we could pick to work on at the moment. But, you know, what's most important to you? What's your soul feel most called to work on? Get together with friends.
Called to, yeah.
Yeah, and write down, how can we do this? What can we do? Do campaigns, you know, join, you know, guardiansofsovereignty.com.au is a great group. Join them, help them. join the Restoration Council. There's so many great things that you can do to be actively making that difference. And you know what? At a soul level, when you do that, you feel better, you feel more empowered. Because if you're sitting and feeling so disempowered that you actually can't do anything, it doesn't feel good. If you consciously know what's going on around you, and you're seeing the dark trying to infiltrate humanity in the way they're doing, especially with the things, and you know what I'm meaning when I'm pressing my arm here, they're really trying to
me, I often get those comments from the people who are very asleep. And they cannot even see the dark. I don't believe they can see it. They think the government's looking after us, the health people are looking after us, everyone's looking after us, and that I'm being very negative, by so
tricky.
It's very, very challenging. And some of those people, I feel for me, I just have to let them go with love, and because
well, you know what? I was talking to an incredible spiritual master. I mean, I believe we're all equal. Nobody's better than anyone else. But I was, I was talking to an incredible South American spiritual master the other day, and he works with energies around that have surrounded Yogananda. So incredible being. And he personally felt, so it was really interesting to hear, that only 1/8 of society at this point are going to be able to ascend. So it's about 1 billion, because there's 7.9 billion people on the planet. So only about 1 billion will be moving forward in the ascension, and the rest will be recreating that wheel of karma and continuing on that for thousands of years. So it was interesting to hear that. But everyone has free will, and if that's their choice to do that, that's fine, in a sense that we can't override our own personal opinions or what we want of other people's free will. And I mean, it is hard because, of course, we're compassionate and we're empathic, and we see the chemtrails, the GMO in our foods, and the things that we get, and all these sorts of things happening that impact our ability to see what truly is happening. And so with all that sort of nefarious activity going on, there's great compassion for the people that haven't been able to rise above and open their pineal gland and be able to tap into that level of what is going on.
We can lead a horse to water, but we can't make it drink.
That's right.
And
consciousness.
Medyhne, the most interesting thing to me is that there are spiritual people that I would have thought were conscious and intelligent people who have done a lot of work they've done work on themselves as well.
Yeah.
They can't see this. They can't see what's going on. And it just amazes me. Yet there are other people who haven't done any work on themselves, but they actually can see the big picture. They can actually not they can't see everything we're seeing from a spiritual point of view, but they see more than some of my colleagues and people I know. Yes. And I found this the most interesting thing of all.
I know.
And how I've been making sense of that, I've really been thinking about it, is that I'll be interested to know your thoughts on this. It's like as if God has put these little, like, I've got goosebumps, so I think I'm on the right track. God's put these, I got goosebumps all over me. Thank you, Spirit. Thank you, Spirit. Okay. That is putting these people with this awareness and they're in all different walks of life. You know, they're in some of them are probably, you know, in drug communities, or they're in homeless communities. They're in religious. They're all in all different communities.
Yeah.
But they're like little light flames with this awareness, or there might be 2 or 3 people in, you know, in a big apartment block that are talking about this. It's like people are being strategically placed in all these different areas and communities and places. Probably some of these people are in the hospital system, some of them are, you know, and I think it's all it's strategically designed.
Totally,
What
100%.
do you think?
Oh, 100%. No accidents. I definitely agree with that. You know, what I find when I'm engaging with people is that the more often highly qualified people are, the more they've been indoctrinated by the system. You know, maybe some academics or people that, and they're more programmed, they're more mind controlled, and so they don't have the awareness of what intuitively is going on, because their cerebral, their mental body is overriding their natural instincts, their intuition as well. And so you have a simpler person, for example, maybe a cleaner in the street or someone who's highly aware. They're not, you know, well educated or whatever. They may not have done a lot in their life, but they're working through a more natural, sort of organic, intuitive way, and so they can feel it all. That's what I'm finding in general. And then I'm finding that people are definitely strategically placed. I mean, I was talking to a lady the other day who works in a chemist, in a, you know, pharmaceutical, you know, organization. She's aware of everything, totally aware, but she's holding her energy in that space. Imagine doing that with awareness of, you know, everything that you know industry does to us, and for many years working in that job with people around you that all have that belief system that the pharmaceutical corporations are there for our wellness, and that they're there to help us, when you know, there is the awareness that the industry is really there for their own gain. And I mean, of course, there are some areas where it's not black and white, but generally speaking, they're there to get people onto medications, and from that point, expanding the medications so that, you know, so many people on medications all their lives and they can't get off them. And then the more they get on, then there's side effects and they have to get on more. And, you know, when you look at the statistics for how many people actually take pharmaceuticals, it's incredibly high in our population.
Yes.
In Australia, because that is the whole goal. And it's not about holistic. And of course, the repression of complementary medicines and all that sort of thing that's been happening at the same time. So, and she's been working this industry for many years, but holding her light and her energy in the space of that, with a knowing of what's really going on. So I thought that was, you know, very courageous of her to be doing that. So in the same way, I think we have been spread out, and I think we're unifying more now, that these star seeds are light workers, the people that have this consciousness of what the nefarious agendas are. They are unifying, and that is a key. That's our own power to do that, to unify at this time, because in the past we've been all separate, and that's all strategic and everything, but we felt isolated, and we haven't felt like we've been had people around us that have the same energy. And I know I grew up like that myself, and so many light workers and star seeds have. But now we're really combining together to find one another and to join our soul families and our soul tribe. And that's another antidote to all the negativity, is to be able to align yourselves with people who are on the same page, that have the same energy, that is sharing the same consciousness. And that's a really powerful tool.
Yes, and what did the Bible say about that? When two or more, there's some verse. I'm haven't studied the Bible enough, but two or more are gathered in thy name, it will be done.
Yes,
You
exactly.
know, that when we create an agreement
Yeah.
with multiple people, that it multiplies, and that's the power of creating intention and agreements with two or more.
Yes, yes, it's way more powerful than just the energy of those two people. Magnifies in multiple ways the energy, and so getting together with a few friends every week and sending beautiful, loving energy around the world. You know, that's just a simple way that people can work. There's something everyone can do, and you know, it is the crucial moment now. It's an essential moment for people to really step up. And I think also that when we look back on this moment, you know, in the future, we're going to ask ourselves, did I do everything that I could do at this time to really contribute to this transition that is affecting all life throughout the universe? Did I do everything that I could do? Or did I perhaps hold back? And I just encourage everyone, you know, all the ways that you can help, just do them now.
And also, Medyhne, as you said, for all of us to transform the shadow and the darkness within ourselves,
Yes.
which is our guilt, shame, or anything that we're doing that's bringing our vibration down, our own, where we're not forgiving other people. Who do we need to forgive? Because
Mm,
when we're carrying anger and resentment, that's keeping our vibration down. Shame, anything that secrets we're holding,
yes.
behaviors that we're involved with that are keeping our vibration down.
Yes.
As you and I know,
Yes.
we need to constantly, it's all very well to point the finger out there to the government, to the health professionals, to all those people, but it's like when we point the finger out, what's the saying? There's three fingers pointing back at me, right?
Well, it's so
There's
true.
three,
Yeah. Yeah.
and
Yeah.
that's the place to look as
Oh,
well. We've got to always remember that.
mm, more important in some ways than other things as well. Well, I guess it's a balance of everything, but always to be mindful of what you need to do to work on yourself to really evolve yourself. That is just like a fundamental the whole way through. um you know, our physical bodies are often really feeling it at the moment. You know, you might be getting headaches or aches and pains and things like that. So there's been a very strong recommendation from multiple, you know, spiritual sources at the moment to really go hard on working on our physical bodies. So, you know, you might be guided to I've been seeing someone who's doing incredible work on my spine, which is brilliant. I'm also taking more sort of a protocol now to raise my frequency in terms of supplements or things that are going to really help
Mm.
me on that level. I'm doing more than that now than ever before. So the physical body is something that really needs to be tweaked at the moment, because if you're not doing anything, you're probably finding that your physical body is feeling heavier and not functioning as well. So whatever you need to do, whatever you're guided to work on your physical body. And of course, for me, I find that the physical body is often the last one that lags behind. The spiritual one's out in the front going, yay, I'm doing this, and it's shooting ahead. And then the mental body and the emotional body is sort of in the middle there, and they're trying to, keep abreast of the spiritual body, and trying to keep up. And there's a lot of work to do on those too. But the physical body for me is the one that often is the one that's sort of lagging behind. So what do people need to do on their physical body at the moment? And you can ask, you can put out the intention to the universe, please guide me to what I need to do for my physical body now. It might be just, a massage once a week. It might be where you put yourself against a tree and you ask the tree to take away anything from your physical body that can be transmuted. It could be, fantastic supplements that your body's lacking as it goes through this ascension process, which is really actually quite challenging for the physical body. And, I think to be really mindful of the four bodies, the physical, the mental, the emotional, and the spiritual, and being aware, because each one is like a personality, it has its own needs. And to be on a communication level with all of those four aspects and being aware of where they all are on this ascension journey and being able to fulfill the needs for each of those four aspects or bodies through this process. And it sounds like a lot, but you can muscle test your body. You can ask your body what it needs, and it will tell you, and to just open all those channels. And that's, I'm finding I've never had to do more work on all these areas than ever before. And I've been pretty dedicated to that for 28 years.
Yes, and I love what you say. It's one of my favourites, is just to ask that it be revealed to me.
Yes.
Dear Lord, please reveal to me what I need to see and know today, or about my body, or anything. It's amazing what comes out. It's amazing what is revealed, and ask that it be revealed in a way that you can understand, that you can get the message easily. It's amazing what comes.
Well, I'll share with you the incredible story that just happened. I mean, these things happen pretty much on a daily basis, but this was one just took the cake a little bit. So I'm going to share this one. We were driving to Brisbane. It was just before the protests. And I had this really strong guidance that we needed to do a healing and a clearing while we were in the centre of Brisbane. And I said that to my partner, who's called Zed. And as I said that, we go, oh yeah, I feel that we have to do that. And right away, this car overtook in front of us. And on the number plate said 000Z. So it was like 000Z, which is like emergency Z type thing. It was that sort of energy. And then it really drove in front of us all the way into Brisbane. So it was a really clear message. And so then we got in there and we, this is a classic. And then we got in there and we did this ceremony to really transmute, work with all the higher energies to clear anything that needed clearing prior to this protest coming in. That was going to be, I think it was the next day. And then my partner said, he asked for a sign. He said, look, I'd love to get confirmation we've done everything we need to do. I'd like to ask for a sign. And so then he asked, he said, please give us a sign that we've done everything that we need to do, as, confirmation that we've, done everything. And then goes downstairs. We've just done all this energy work, goes downstairs, and there's this big sign and there's all these people and it says Australian Energy Conference. Just downstairs where we're staying.
That's amazing.
Isn't that incredible? And we go, oh, thank you. It was really, in your face, obvious. So, I love that about the universe, that it is so kind and benevolent, and that it always gives you the information that you need, and the confirmation and the affirmation when you need it, if you just ask. So that's a lovely gift that we're able to.
Yes, and I think the messages come through songs. They come in so many ways through you can open a page on a book and it says, you go, oh, okay.
Exactly.
It's like sometimes you don't want to hear it.
That's the other thing too, I found is in terms of not wanting to hear it. There's a certain graciousness that comes on the path of evolution, like I've had a few incidents lately where I go, oh, Medyhne, you got to try harder here. You got to do better. And it was a humbling sort of energy that I really needed to look at things within myself and really work harder than I have before, you know. So it takes sort of like a bit of humility and graciousness to do that, because we often don't want to see the things in ourselves that are our weaknesses, or the things that we really need to work on. And so I've had a few of those things, and I'm sure that's for everyone too at the minute. Things are happening like that, where it's sort of the universe is pointing to us things that need to be worked on, and we need to really acknowledge and recognize that, and really proactively work on that. So I know that that's happened to me. So I'm sure that I find when things happen to me, it's also happening on a collective level as well.
Yes, absolutely. And there's no mistakes.
No.
There's never any mistakes. The universe, there's no mistakes for the universe.
So
what
when
we
that
get
happens,
presented with.
it's true. When that happens, I go, now, Medyhne, what do you need to learn from this before I react? So I don't go into reaction mode. I stop and I go, okay, what do I need to learn from this? And then I get clear on that. And then if there's anything else there, it's not my business really. It's something else. If it's someone else's thing, it's not my business. It's, you know, their business. So I'm not responsible for that. But what I am responsible for is how I can react to it, and what I can learn from it, and how I can become better through that experience.
And what was it that attracted that too, which is the other interesting question, isn't it?
Yes. Because, well, I don't know. But, you know, sometimes we get really excited and passionate about our cause and what we're doing and trying to help. And it can be a bit of an energy that is a bit too much for other people that are not on the same page. So you have to, I guess, be mindful of where people are, and not to, you know what I'm saying? Not to sort of overwhelm them with your own enthusiasm or your own, and just sort of come back a notch in your own energy and meet them in a sense where they are, rather than, you know, if that makes sense.
Absolutely, because I am totally responsible for that, being far too enthusiastic and sharing too many things. And, you know,
and that's great. It's
my big learning.
And that's great too.
Continually, because I want to save the world. I want to save everybody.
Well, this is my thing too, exactly. But the thing is, sometimes you come across someone who's not there in that same energy, and so it can come across to them as like a bit much. And then I don't want to be, you know, sort of overstepping the mark there, and making them in some way feel bad because my energy's so, you know. But if people are sort of on the same page, or I'm trying to get a message across, that's different. So it's sort of depends a little bit on the situation. It's a discernment, you know. But it's that thing of not wanting to override another's free will, and accepting that. And I tell you, at the moment, there's great grace that's required with accepting the overall situation, because we all know people who are stepping into the firing line oblivious of what's really going on, you know.
Can I share? I'll just share something that happened to me, was it yesterday, the day before? Some people around me, so there's always the people around you that think you're a bit crazy because you speak about certain things, or you've got certain conversations about things. Anyway, I have been warning and saying some things about this. And
me too.
The interesting thing is, one of these men that has this view of me told me with great pride he was going to have this, right?
Yes.
Jane, I'm just letting you know, I'm really excited. I'm going to have this, right?
Yes, yes.
And I just said, you're crazy. You're crazy. Well, have it for me too, right? That was what I said. Anyway, it must have been last night before. Anyway, so no, sorry, that must have been about a week ago. He said that to me. And a couple of nights ago, I ran into his wife. And I said, oh, it's a beautiful night, because it was late at night and I was just walking and ran into her. And I said, I hope you've had a great Easter. And she said his name, and she said, I'm really worried about him. He's been sick. He's never sick. He's never been sick in his life, and he's so fit. And he's only 40 years old. And she said, I'm really worried about him. I nearly had to take him to the hospital last night. And I said, well, I warned him. And she said, I'm revisiting. She said, I'm booked in as well, and I'm revisiting. I said, do not.
The disconnection that happens with your spiritual connection, when you have that, it's completely designed to disconnect. And so that that's another thing, as well as all the other stuff, that disconnection from your divine connection, your spiritual, that's what it's designed to do. So, that's just, it is heartbreaking in a sense. And I had that very same conversation with my father the other day, and keen as anything, but all I can do is say and step back. And, really some people, they just close their ears and they don't want to hear anything that you have to say in that way. So there's nothing that we can do for that except send love. And it's hard when it's people that you love, your family, your friends, of course. I mean, I consider all humanity my family anyway. The child that's playing across the road is much my own child as my own child.
Absolutely. Yes.
So humanity,
we're all brothers and sisters.
Yeah. And,
they're all our children of the world. And the other thing that happened to me, because I'll go into a service station or something and I'll just say things like, oh, I'm just letting you know, I hope you realise, I'm just telling people, just be aware of the, I say that even if I go and get petrol.
Yeah, that's fantastic. I have a brochure that I give out that I've done myself that I hand to people about everything.
Well, the interesting thing was that this guy at the service station is an Indian guy, right? And he said, oh, I won't be. He said, because I've had an uncle in India who died of a heart attack after.
Exactly.
We're all hearing those stories. Went ahead with that.
Yep, over and over hearing those stories. Yeah.
So if we start talking to people, it's interesting, they've got the evidence. A lot of people have got the evidence, and in some ways it's good that Australia's a bit behind on this. Yes. As in time-wise.
Yes, that's right. Well, please, everyone, share this video if you can, and just get the word out there to people, because I think the problem too is that the people that are part of that mainstream narrative, they have only certain sources of information that are mainstream. So they're not seeing the other information because they don't have access to, like, for example, the Telegram groups. They don't have access to that. So they need to be able to try and spread the information so that it goes out in different ways to different people, so it's not the people that already know about this sort of thing. You know what I mean?
Well, as you know, the issue is I have done that with a lot of people, and they go, oh, that's just, then they'll just say it's conspiracy theory. So they're the people you do have to let go of a lot, because they're not even prepared to look at it.
No, that's right.
It actually can be wasting your energy doing it. The there's some people that will go, oh, that's interesting, I didn't know that. Or, you know, they're the people that the doors open that we can work with. The others, it's very difficult.
Yes.
It's very difficult.
Yes, yes. And again, it's all different levels of consciousness, and you can't you know, change a person's consciousness, because it's just their soul evolution
Yes.
where they are. And yeah, it's a big test for us all, in a sense, to remain non-attached. I think staying in unconditional love but non-attached, that spiritual lesson of
Yeah,
non-attached.
committed to making a difference but non-attached.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, that's quite a sort of a oxymoron, or sort of like they sort of don't seem to go together in some ways. But yeah, it's a mastery. It's spiritual mastery. Yeah, yeah. Well, thank you so much, Jane. I've so much enjoyed chatting with you. I think that we've covered some really timely information at the minute for what's happening, and I hope that there's somebody out there that is able to benefit from our chat today in some way. And, you know, sending so much love to everyone out there, because, you know, this is the greatest test in terms of human experience we've ever had. And so we need all our skills and our resources at the moment to be so self-nurturing and, you know, kind to one another, I think.
Yes, it's the greatest test for humanity probably ever.
Yes.
And people, it's hard for people to believe that, but I believe it is in our evolution. Yes.
Definitely.
And what we're going to stand for and what we're not going to stand for.
That's right.
So, yeah, it's been a pleasure and an honour to talk to you.
Oh, thank you, Jane. It's just
Easter Monday. It's Easter Monday.
Yes, beautiful. Thank you. I think what you've just said is a great point to leave on. If you don't do anything, you're effectively standing for the other side. If you take a stand, you're standing for, you know, what you believe in and what's right. But if you do nothing, it's consent. It's implied consent. So I think that's a really good thing to leave the conversation with.
Anyway, wonderful to see you again.
Darling.
Love talking to you, and we'll talk again.
Jane, beautiful. Thank
Lots of love to everyone.
Yes. Bye.
Bye.